Hello everybody and welcome to another video. This video is part 9 of my F1 2020 MyTeam Career mode, and we are here for the Canadian Grand Prix around the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. This is a track that I quite like. It's very technical, it's got fast corners, especially that fast chicane. It's absolutely brilliant when you get it right, but it is pretty challenging, especially that first sector on traction, so there's no point just waiting about because otherwise you're going to spin. But let's not dawdle around. Without further ado, let's go into qualifying. So qualifying for the Canadian Grand Prix, it is actually a wet qualifying, but it's not wet enough for intermediate tyres, interestingly enough. So we're going to be qualifying on dry tyres, and as the session goes on it does actually get drier, so it means that we're going to be getting faster times constantly. So as you can see here, we're struggling for grip everywhere on the first run. So Delatraz sets the first time, I think it's a 14.5, I believe, but it's 19.5, yeah, I think that's right, yeah, 19.5. So going through this first sector here, we're struggling for grip, we're very, very tentative, we're hardly on the throttle, but we're still getting oversteer. So now coming through this final chicane, taking it very easily. We don't want to crash into the wall of champions or cut the corner, but we get the lap done, and it is going to be a 19.8, only 0.3 off Delatraz. It should be noted that for this qualifying session we are running an old gearbox, so yeah, so it's old, and I think midway through the session we do actually lose fourth gear. I think it's on this second run. I don't think you get to see it though, but yeah, but as you can see here on the second run, we're already gaining loads of time. So already through turn 1, 0.3 up. Now coming through turn 2, we actually end up getting to 0.5 up, and that's in the first corners. No, first 2 corners, I believe. And now, as you can see, now we're starting to attack the final chicane a lot more. We're attacking it, we're just cutting it a bit more, and we are actually 1.5 seconds up, and that puts us into P12 in this qualifying session. See what I mean about the track getting quicker? We were about a second, 0.8 quicker than Delatraz's fastest time, and as the track gets quicker, we're just going to get even more ridiculous. As you can see here, we're building a gap to Esteban Ocon ahead of us, and this is our final run. You're going to be riding on board with it, and I shall commentate over it. So without further ado, let's get on with this final lap in Q1. So as we go through turn 1 here, we cut the corner quite a bit, we get our left tyres all the way on the curves, we run over the curb on the right hand side, and now as you can see we're struggling for traction, but we are still 0.2 up, just near enough. And now going through this first chicane, we've got to get as close to cutting it as possible, but to open it up as much as possible on the exit, and then we are 0.6 up through the first sector alone, and actually going quicker than Daniel Ricciardo. So going through this second chicane here now, we've taken it in 3rd gear, and we just rev out 3rd gear, go up to 4th gear, and just get on the power. And now we're a second up. As you can see now, we have an Alpha Tauri of Pierre Gasly behind us. So he's in our mirrors, he's in our thoughts, and we are now 1.5 seconds up. So now as we're going through this fine little hairpin, we run very deep. It's not the best of situations, but Gasly actually does end up going alongside us down this straight, which is not ideal, especially on the corner rod. So we did try squeezing him into, but just so he'd back out a little bit. But now as we're going down this straight, he's in the slipstream, and we're running alongside him into this chicane. We do end up braking very late, but it does compromise our entry, as we were just trying to get ahead of him, and that means we lost quite a bit of time. And there was about 0.3 in this lap, but we're coming from across the line, and it's going to be a 1:16.5. And despite that saying P13 on there, it's actually going to be last place on the grid. So, as I said, crazy qualifying session. It's raining, it's drying out constantly with the running, as Sebastian Vettel goes fastest in the Ferrari by about 0.08 from Max Verstappen. We're only 0.1 off of Delatraz, and Gasly is the next car, as I do believe I held him up. But we're starting last, so there's only one logical thing to do. All new power unit components and new gearbox and everything. So we're going to get a 65 grid place penalty, but it's going to be worth it. We're going to have the new power unit components, and we're going to be flying in the race. But without further ado, it's time for Canadian Grand Prix.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. It's a tricky circuit to tackle in wet conditions, with top speed still of critical importance down the long back straight. There are 2.7 miles and 14 corners overall on a circuit that in the dry can see average lap speeds of around 130 miles per hour. We'll be lucky to get anywhere near that today. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Can we talk about Mercedes? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Perez, Stroll, Raikkonen, Magnussen, and Antonio Giovinazzi. Grosjean, Albon, they've taken a grid penalty. George Russell and Norris, Latifi, Sainz, Louis Delatraz, and Pierre Gasly, Kvyat, Ocon, Hamilton, and the Professor. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
As we're here now on the grid for the Canadian Grand Prix, it's actually going to be a very interesting race. It's going to be wet, dry, wet, but we're going to be starting on intermediate tyres, unlike qualifying. So, without further ado, it's time for the Canadian Grand Prix, as we're starting right behind Lewis Hamilton. Loads of people have penalties. That's 5 red lights, and away we go for Canadian Grand Prix. We get a fairly good start. We jump Hamilton off the line, and we actually get Esteban Ocon as well, and I think Daniel Kvyat as well, as we've taken turn 1 very carefully indeed. So we're not trying to try anything stupid, but as we try around the outside now, we get quite a few more positions as we send it down the inside of Gasly into turn 2. Delatraz and Gasly were already running alongside, so we were 3 wide through this turn 2, and we actually did get a bit of contact from Gasly, which did put us out of contention. So that Delatraz is now going around the outside of Gasly, but now they're going side by side through the chicane, and it doesn't quite work out for Delatraz. So Delatraz is the next target, so going into this second chicane, we send it down the inside. Not wasting any time, as I do feel we'll have more pace in this very, very early stage in this race. So as we're going onto the straight now, we're short shifting up the gears. We want to get as good traction as possible into overtake mode, into rich mix. Now going into this very, very awkward middle sector. Now we could just back out. We don't want to battle our teammate too hard, but Esteban Ocon goes down the inside, and that means we're having to battle him, and we lose quite a lot of time to Delatraz through this section. So now as we're going into the hairpin, Delatraz actually has an almighty dive bomb down the inside of Gasly, and we catch up quite a bit as they're going quite slowly just due to backup of the field. So Delatraz is now going alongside Gasly down this back straight, but he doesn't quite make it work just due to our engine power deficit. So we're in overtake, we're in rich mix, but now going on to the start of lap 2 now. Delatraz is the next car still, so we do have a bit of a look around the outside, and we're actually running side by side out the exit of that corner, a move that I absolutely loved. Overtake's enabled. We're running side by side in this chicane. We squeeze him a little bit to the apex, but we get the move done without a shadow of a doubt, and that is absolutely brilliant stuff. That was a really risky overtake on our teammate, but we need to get past him, as you can see, we're losing time to Gasly. So now as we hit on lap 4 now in this race, Gasly is the next car in P17. We're in P18, but we just, as you can see, getting a little bit of a squirm on. But we're gaining all the time, and now as you can see, we're going onto this straight. We are right behind him, and we're going to be trying to size up a move as soon as possible. Now going on to lap 5 in this race, Gasly is still ahead of us, obviously, and now we try it around the outside. We tried with Delatraz, but we're just not quite close enough to be able to get it work and get on the power. So we're still stuck behind him, and we are being held up at this point, so we just need to get past him as soon as possible. Going through the chicane, we are catching up quite a bit, so we're now just trying to maintain gap and just keep as close to him as possible and try to force a mistake or just get ahead of him with a very risky dive bomb. So now going on to the straight, we're right behind him. I think we enable overtake because we have 100% ERS. Now on lap 6, the next lap at a similar place, we have a very late move down the inside, and that is absolutely great stuff. We do lock up the front right tyre, but we do get ahead of him briefly, and now going onto the straight, we do have to squeeze him a little bit, but it doesn't quite work. Don't call his bluff. Now going down this straight, we're in overtake mode, we're in rich mix, as the rain has actually stopped falling at this point in the race. So now we're going side by side with Gasly down this start finish straight. well, down this long back straight, and we send it down the inside into the chicane, and we get the move done, as he can't really run side by side, and he does come off bad, as we do tap the wall a little bit, but we get the move done, and that's all in the past. Now on to lap 8, and to the end of lap 8, we have caught up to Carlos Sainz, who's stuck behind Nicholas Latifi, so we've got to get past Sainz as soon as possible. We are going down the start-finish straight, overtake's enabled. We were thinking about having a move down into turn 1, but we just weren't close enough. We don't have the overspeed to get it done. So now going through turn 1 now, in turn 2, we have the same move we tried on Delatraz, and we're running side by side now on the exit. We don't quite make it work through the corner, but now on the exit we have a very nice run, and we send it round the outside into the chicane. We're not quite far enough ahead to squeeze into the apex, but he has a really bad run through it, and we absolutely make it work, and Latifi is now next up for P15 in this race. We are into P16, and Carlos Sainz is in the car behind us. Now onto lap 11, DRS is enabled, and that is usually the sign to pit in, as Carlos Sainz doesn't go for move, as he is also pitting in this race. So we're now going into the pit lane now. We've got to make the 50 speed limit, and we do. So now going down this pit lane now, it's going to be a very busy pit lane. Everyone's going to want to come in, and as you can see at the top, we will double stack with Delatraz. So we need to get a good pit stop, and we somewhat do. It's a very mediocre pit stop, 2.6 seconds, and we rejoin the race pretty much where we left it, in P15. I think we did actually gain a position. I'm not sure who. I think it might have been Latifi, who's just got caught up in the pits, but we gained one position and a fair amount of time to Gasly behind. So, but in this dry period, the car's pace is showing. We're able to outperform the car in these wet conditions, but as it dried out, we're just running out of speed and talent. So going into this hairpin now, Gasly goes down the inside, but we're trying to hold it around the outside, and we just got to get as good an exit on the wider line. So just got to keep ahead of it, and we do. So now down this straight, we're in overtake mode. He's going to have DRS down this straight, and we've been setting personal best ever since we've been coming out the pit. Every single lap, the track's been getting faster and drier. Now into this chicane, he's not close enough. He's not close enough to make a move, and that's really lucky on our part. Now there's down start finish straight though. He's going to have DRS once again, as we set a personal best of the race. It's going to be a 1:16.7 as he goes down the inside into turn 1, and we just got to defend it as well as we can around the outside. And he's going to try it around the outside into turn 2, but he can't quite make it work. He doesn't quite have the traction that we had on the exit of the corner, and now he's just got to wait behind us another lap. As we into this hairpin on lap 20, we run very deep and nearly hitting the wall on the exit, so that's going to leave us vulnerable as we have a very, very big slide and just squeamish moment. So now Gasly is right behind us. He's within 0.2 of a second, so he's going to be trying a move now into this chicane. We squeeze him to the inside as much as we possibly can. We tried to battle it around the outside, side by side for the chicane, but it doesn't work. But that leaves us vulnerable to Carlos Sainz now, who's right behind us, as we've got to run down the start finish straight now. We don't have any ERS left as we send it down the inside, and we've just got to keep it going, basically. We've just got to hold on to any bit of grip we can and just try to hold them at bay as long as possible, because the longer we hold them at bay is the better chance we have at catching them later in the race, as it is meant to get wetter again. So down the start finish straight once again, we are in overtake, but it's not really doing much as we are out of ERS again. Carlos Sainz is going to go for the same move Gasly did, but he doesn't get alongside us early enough, so we're able to cut him off into the chicane. And he does lose quite a bit of time to Hamilton in P18, who's not having a great race. And yeah, as you can see, rain's starting to fall. It's getting wet. It's lap 23, and it's just a matter of time now. So as we're here now, going through the chicane, Carlos Sainz sends it down the inside. We don't really want to fight it, as we do run into the back of him. Very lucky not to get damage. So but Hamilton is now behind us. He's in that superior Mercedes. I'm surprised he's not carved his way through the field yet. So he's going to send it round the outside. We try to have a little counter move down the inside of Sainz, but we're not close enough, and it's just unable to make it work. So we're running side by side now with Hamilton. That Mercedes power unit and that Mercedes is just so slippery in a straight line. So the best thing we can do is just try to hold on for as long as possible. And now going into chicane, Hamilton gets past us. But if you're looking behind us, the Ocon pits, and so do a bunch of other people onto another set of medium tyres. So, opportunity. At this point, we've already committed. We're staying out to the next pit stop for intermediate tyres, and now Giovinazzi is the next car behind us within 0.4 of a second, and we're struggling. It's getting wetter and wetter every lap, but they've got on fresher tyres, so they're able to cope better, but we're struggling so much. So now we're running side by side with Giovinazzi, and it's not quite working out. As Norris actually, who could have had a bit of a run at us into the head, had a bit of a mistake and nearly broke his wing. But here on lap 28, the crucial decision is made, and we come into the pits for the intermediate tyres once again in this race. There is 8 laps to go in this race, so as soon as we come out the pits, we've got to make it work, and we've got to just capitalise on every moment, as it's a slow pit stop from our pit crew. 3.2 second pit stop, not what we need. We need the snappiest pit stop like we had in Monaco, and one pit stop at what's the last race? Oh, this is bad. Actually, I think no, Baku, that's it. We had some quick pit stops there, but now we're the first car onto intermediate tyres. So if you look at the gap in the top left, we do actually lose a second from coming out the pits, and 1 lap later, DRS is disabled. So if you notice that gap, that's coming down rapidly as we have a little bit of a snap into going into that chicane. So now on lap 31, at the end of lap 31 going on to lap 32, everyone pits. Everyone's going in for intermediate tyres. So have we made a big enough difference? Have we made up the gap to jump people and potentially get points in this race? Going through turn 1 now. Gasly is coming out of the pits, as Delatraz actually was one of those people who stuck to their strategy and come in for another set of mediums. So Gasly actually jumps us, or stays ahead of us, but we are right behind him now in this race. But it's just unfortunate, he just has more pace. And even though we're catching him at an absolute rate of knots through these fast corners, in the slow first sector, we just lose too much time, as the gap goes up to 1.5 seconds each lap. So we're just not catching, it's just very stagnant. So we just got to hope for the best, hope someone ahead retires. But currently we're in P12 in this race from starting last, so we've already gained 10 positions in this race. But as you see now, we didn't catch Gazzy, but we're coming through the final chicane for the final time in this race. We are in P12, Delatraz is in P17, and that is absolutely great stuff, and we're coming through for P12. Let's go.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
A truly magnificent drive then, and a great performance from the entire team to secure victory here in Canada. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
I have to give it to the Professor. There was a lot going on all down the field, but they were the only one who I really felt maximised their potential.
Let's move on to the Constructors. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. Meanwhile, good work from Racing Point this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So as I said, going across the line, we come through for P12 in the Canadian Grand Prix after starting last on the grid. Delatraz is coming through for, oh no, it's 21st place, my mistake. So it was an unfortunate race for him. He just got screwed over with strategy and just didn't have the pace we had in the wet. So yeah, our fastest lap was actually only 4/10 quicker than him in the dry conditions. Such is our pace advantage in the wet. So hopefully we can have some more wet races as we seem to come alive. So now, as we're going into the main section, our management section of the video, we've got to set our activities before the next race, which is the French Grand Prix. We choose that we want to have sponsor advertisement on the vehicle, as that means we get money and just team acclaim. We can upgrade the chassis equipment upgrade as well, as that's going to give us chassis morale, and it only costs a little bit of money, and weight training to increase Delatraz's pace. So now we look at the R&D tree. We're going to be getting a durability upgrade, as that's the only upgrade we really need at the moment, as we've got major engine upgrades coming. So, but we do have a decision soon. Delatraz's contract only lasts for 28 more days, so we've got to decide whether we want to keep him or not. I've got a thought of who we can replace him with, as it is a much better driver for the same price, as he costs 2 million. So I don't think he's quite worth that. So it is what it is. We'll see what our options are when his contract expires. But without further ado, it's time to finish this video. Thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to leave, like, subscribe, and press the notification bell to know whenever I've uploaded a video. And like the videos, that really does help me out, and it makes people see the videos more and be able to get me some more exposure. And overall, just everybody, if you're watching this to this point, thank you and have a great day. Bye bye.